I call him my miracle baby. He almost didn't make it into this world. I can remember so many times when I almost lost him. It was so hard. Well, he's all grown up now, and I still worry about his health. You know, with all our family's been through, we have to be tough. Timmy, we're trying to tell our story here.
Sorry about that, Mom. You still worry about me, Mom?
Well, yeah, you're not nearly as tough as I am.
30 seconds isn't much time in that ad to explain what happened. What would you like people to hear about your story?
Well, I love to call it a God story because I think a God story is one that's impossible apart from the power of God, and I think Timmy's story is definitely one of those. And Bob, you should start because it's...
Well, it started in the summer of 1986 when I was out in the bottom of Mindanao. Mindanao is the large southern island in the Philippines, and I was out preaching in the mountains. I was weeping
over the loss of millions of babies in America that were never given a chance.
And I prayed and said, God, if you want another preacher in this world, you give me Timmy. And this was before he was conceived. And I'll raise him to be a preacher. And so I went home, and the next morning at breakfast shared with my family my prayer that I'd begun. And everybody joined in, and we started praying by name for God to give us Timmy.
I was considered high risk. I was 37. We lived in an area that didn't have great medical care at the time, and we had 4 healthy children. And so people questioned us, and yet we really believed that we needed to pray for Timmy. And so I did conceive, and we were very excited that I became pregnant with Timmy, and we went to see the doctor there in the town that we lived in. She said it wasn't a baby at all. He was a mass of fetal tissue, and that I needed to abort him immediately if I were going to save my life. And so...
Said it was a tumor.
Said it was a tumor. We didn't really have to make a decision at that time. We had made it years previous because we were determined to trust the Lord with the children that He would give us, and if God called me to give up my life, then He would take care of my family. And so we just trusted Him, and I didn't have any more medical care at that time or any time until we moved to Manila, the capital of the Philippines, at the very end of my pregnancy. And God did so many things along the way. I continued to think that I would lose him almost on a daily basis because I had such a difficult pregnancy, and yet we had a peace at the same time. So we were experiencing physical problems, but we had God's peace. And many people were praying for us, many people in the States. And I can remember one time when I'd been given some medicine to take for amoeba, and I had taken one pill. I was reading with my oldest daughter the book of Timothy, where we chose the name for our Timothy, and I just felt compelled that I needed to go and read about the medicine. And when I did, I realized that it said on the label could cause severe birth defects, and so I threw it away and had to deal with those physical issues as well. And yet I saw that as another sign from the hand of God that He was protecting Timmy in the womb, gave us the wisdom. And God did spare Timmy. Time after time, I thought that I had lost him, and then only to discover I continued to be pregnant. So God was very gracious, and he was delivered in a Manila hospital. And I was somewhat malnourished, but he's made up for it in time. So, and when the doctor delivered him, Bobby, you were right there.
There was a great big clump of blood that came out where the placenta wasn't properly attached, basically for the whole 9 months and completely. And so, you know, he was a miracle baby.
Absolutely, and also Timmy was healthy.
He was healthy, and we were just so grateful, and we have reminded him countless times that God has a special plan for him. He spared him in the womb, and he spared him since. Spared him laying on the field there at the University of Kentucky, and he spared him for a reason. Of course, we tell that to our other children too, because God has a plan for each of them.
Sure.
But I think that has marked Timmy's life. He is very aware of his beginnings and how God did spare him in the womb.
God's hand was on Tim right from the beginning,
It
if
was.
not
Exactly.
before.
Exactly.
And it is quite astonishing to see how the Lord has used him all the way through.